What's up everybody? In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you exactly step by step how to own properties using other people's cash and holding them long term for generational wealth. This is going to be 4 properties that we're doing a refinance on right now. I'm going to talk you through how we found the deals, how we funded the deals, the step-by-step walkthrough on how we did the construction, the before and the afters, renting the properties out, and then executing the refinance. And at the end of the day, how we're going to own $1.2 million worth of assets with none of our own cash at the end of the day, with hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity. Now, if this sounds too good to be true, it's absolutely not. This stuff completely changed my life the last 5 to 10 years, and it will change your life too if you just take action on the things I'm going to be talking about in this video. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Tommy Harr. I'm a home inspector turned real estate investor. I was a home inspector at age 23, and all the things you're going to learn are the things that I learned, failed along the way, and now became a millionaire by the time I was 27 and multimillionaire by the time I was 28, and the rest is all she wrote. So before you go any farther, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my page for the real side of real estate. Let's get to it. All right, so today's video, we're gonna be doing a lot of screen sharing. We're gonna be actually going through real tangible things, walking through HUD statements, walking through pictures before and after. So it's gonna be a lot of information. Make sure you start taking notes, drop me comments and let me know what you wanna learn even more. But on the screen right here is every one of these properties fixed up. So we're gonna be talking today about the BRRRR method. We're talking about finding houses that need a ton of work, buying them with other people's money, specifically private money, renovating them with private money, building that 20 to 30% equity through the construction, forcing the value, and then refinancing on the back end. So that's the BRRRR method. You buy, you renovate, you rent, you refinance, and you repeat. But this is going to give you actual tangible houses instead of just boring theory that a lot of people just talk about. So top left house, this is a duplex in an area that I believe in long term. This is where my first house hack was, my second house hack, my third house, my last office. Amazing area. It's not the best area yet, but I think long term it will be. Second house on the top right, this is a single family house in Bexley, Ohio, an A-class school district, amazing rental property long term. Bottom left is a 1-bed, 1-bath, and if you've watched my other videos, this will also maybe pop up on the screen here. We bought 5 houses in one area in one purchase, and I did a full breakdown on that entire deal. So if you want to go back and see this deal was popped out of it because it wasn't renovated yet, so we refinanced the other ones and we had this one left over for this refinance. The fourth property is our problem property. This one, we ended up having major title issues. I made a bunch of videos on this one as well. I don't know if we made a YouTube, but this one we bought, the title company missed a foreclosure and we had to rebuy it for $20,000 more and we couldn't sell it on the market. So we'll talk about some of those struggles, but at the end of the day, we kept it as a rental property. We're gonna keep some money in that deal specifically, but I'll tell you how we were balancing it out by doing a portfolio type loan. Cool, so now that you have reference of the properties, I'm just gonna go step by step, one by one on each of those. So let's start with the top left property here. I've got my folder, 184, 186 Morrill. So now we keep everything in folders to make sure that we have everything right in front of us. We bought this property for $195,000. $195,000, it just appraised for $510,000 yesterday. $315,000 more than what we bought it for. Now, that sounds amazing, but we also had to put a lot of work into it. We've owned it for about 6.5 months. Let me pull up the project here and show you a before and after. Okay, so we use Company Cam for all of our projects. If you don't use that, I highly recommend it. There's gonna be a referral link down at the bottom to get you guys some trial on this, but this is where we organize and keep pictures of all of our projects. So real quick, I'm gonna go through some pictures. We bought it for $195,000. I raised private money for the purchase, and I also raised private money for the renovation. This is what it looked like. Plaster walls, old windows, knob and tube electric, galvanized and cast iron plumbing. I mean, this place was absolutely destroyed. I mean, you see it even had some fire damage in one of the kitchens. It was put together so they had both of the units flowing into each other, and if you know duplexes, you can't have that. This thing was a treat. It had fleas. It was actually chopped into a triplex. So you guys have a gist of what it looked like. Pretty damn beat up. And then 6 months later, it looks like this. So let's go to newest. So it now is a beautiful house. We painted the outside, we put new windows in. It is a fully functional, updated duplex now. We turned each unit, and how we got a 510 ARV was it was a 2-bed, 1-bath each side. We ended up adding value to this by stripping it down to the studs. So we stripped it all the way down. We spent $195,000 on renovation, but what we did is we added a bedroom and a full bathroom in every single unit. So we are adding value not only ARV wise, but also what we're going to talk about, we're adding value on the rental side. So this is what the property looks like now. Kitchen got moved into the middle room. That back bedroom where the kitchen was at, or the back room where the kitchen was at, was now a bedroom with a master walk-in bathroom. Living space. It wasn't done quite yet when we took these pictures, but you can see it was cleaned. We just had some punch-out stuff. Okay, we got our bathroom. Got my interns running around taking pictures of our projects. Let's see if we can get a couple outside pictures here. We put the laundry up in the kitchen. Here's our full bathroom there. And this place, we cleaned everything else up, but this was a couple weeks ago. Split the fence, split it down the middle for fencing, so it's ready to rent. So now we put we bought it for $195. We put $195 in. So let me pull up my calculator for you guys here. So 195 plus 195 equals $390. So I'm all in $390. So I raised the purchase and rehab for this thing for $390, but it took us 6 months. So here's some actual tangible numbers. Times 0.12, so 12% interest for that whole year would have been almost $47,000. Divided by 2 is $23,400. So when you use other people's money or private money, you have to pay interest on that money. And this is what we're going to pay to our lenders when we refinance. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but in the grand scheme of things, this is what it's going to be. So $23,400 plus our $390. So I'm all in, purchase, rehab, and interest, $415,000 on this property. Now, it just appraised for $510,000. Now, most times you would say, okay, Tom, I want to do a cash out refinance. And I'll talk each individually after this, but this is going to make sense now that we're talking about it. So $510,000 times, usually you can get 75% on a cash out. So that'd be $382,500. I owe $415. That would mean I keep about $20,000 in this deal on a refinance. Now, before I go any farther, owning a $500,000 asset for $20,000 down is amazing. Because if I were to go and buy a $510,000 asset times 0.25, conventionally 25% down, I would have to put $127,500 down. So I'm putting 1/6 of the money down doing it that way. But we didn't stop there. What we're going to do is, since I know banking and since I understand refinancing and I've owned it for long enough, I can do, instead of a cash out, a rate and term refinance here. Rate and term. So the difference between a rate and term and a cash out refinance is simple. So I'm on a 1-year short-term private money loan, 12% interest, 1-year loan. Very easy to comprehend. A rate and term is changing the rate, 12 down to a 7.5, and the term from a year to 30 years. So your payments are lower and your rent can cover it. So what that means is, if I just want to rate and term, I can lever up to 80% loan to value. And what loan to value means is, your value is 510. They're going to give you a loan based off of the value. Usually it's 70 to 80%. Just think of it this way. When it changed in my mind when I understood it like this, you are keeping equity in it, 1, for the bank's risk, and 2, it's your down payment. So your down payment, if you go to buy a house traditionally, like I just showed you, 25%, 20%. So an 80% at 510, so 510 times 0.8, 20% down, is $408,000. I owe $415,000. So in this scenario, I'm going to keep about $10,000 to $15,000 in this deal right here, in this scenario that I'm giving you. So let me write that down, because this is all going to make sense, and why we're doing a portfolio loan. It'll all kind of come together. All right. So this property is Moral. Moral duplex. So my loan is going to be $408,000. So let's do a couple things here. I'm also going to pull up, and you should need to get really familiar with mortgage calculators if you're going to be doing these refinances. And I'm taking more time on the first one to give you a general understanding, and I'm going to fly through the next three and give you the idea of what I'm talking about. So let's say 510, just to give you a visual, 20% down, so 80% LTV is $408,000. So my down payment technically in this house is $102,000, but I forced the value through construction. My interest rate is 7.75. My property taxes, which you can find on your auditor site, Franklin County Auditor, 184. You guys are going to know what my addresses are, but I don't care. Is $6,400 a year. So let's go 6,500 divided by 12, or $550 a month. $50 a month. And let's say my homeowner's insurance is $75 a month. Okay, so my monthly payment on this property, PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance at 7.75 is $35.50. So $35.50 a month. Now, this house is fully renovated. It has updated windows, new furnaces, new ACs, new electric, new plumbing, new everything. The CapEx on this property is going to be nothing. We already have one side rented out for $18.50. And we're going to rent the other side out for $19.50. So $18.50 plus $19.50 equals $3,800. So $3,800 out of 7. So in this scenario, my payment's $3,500. I'm getting $3,800. I self-manage. This is technically going to be a break-even deal, but we have $100,000 equity. Remember, but in the future, let's assume rates drop in the future, and I can drop this down to a 6% interest rate. That drops my payment down to $3,000, and then I create the cash flow by just playing around with debt. So this is a Band-Aid loan right here, just to get it done and pay off my lender. So my $3,800 is there. So that is the first deal. So if I were just doing this property by itself, I would be done right there. I would say, okay, I owe $415,000. I'm getting a $408,000 loan. I'm going to bring about $15,000 to close this deal. So I own this house, $15,000, $500,000 asset, amazing deal, break even on the cash flow. It's not the best deal in the world if it comes to cash flow, but you have equity. So it's all about controlling the asset long term. And especially in a high interest rate environment, you can't expect to have massive amounts of cash flow. It's all about getting the equity, controlling the asset, and then restructuring in the future if that's what you want to do. To back up, we bought this other deal, the duplex and the house next to it. There's videos on it. It'll be down in the show notes if you want to see the before and the afters. We bought that from a wholesaler. So somebody brought us a deal. We paid a $20,000 assignment for the duplex and for the house next to it. Same thing with this top right property. Top right property I actually bought from my brother. My brother wholesaled it to me. He had it locked up for $95,000. I paid, I think, $130,000. Actually, I can find out exactly what I paid for it here. So for this property, I paid $125,000 to purchase it. So $125,000 purchase price. Here's what it looked like in the beginning. What up? We're shooting a video, but I got a second if you need me.
No.
Oh, God, yeah.
You need this.
Eddie, you want to say hi to YouTube?
What's up, YouTube? It's
This
your
is
boy Ed.
Eddie does all of our property management. He's the best. He's brought me a coffee.
It's live.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's live. But we can chop it out, but we don't have to chop it out. Might as well, right? So we got a cool team. We're going to shoot more videos with everybody in them. It's going to be fun. Okay, so this project right here, we bought for $125,000 from my brother. And if I go into my project tracker here, which I kind of just showed you, we've spent $82,812.99. We've accrued $16,000 of interest. We've held this thing for a long time because we had a stop work order, which means we didn't pull permits. The city came in. That's a different story for a different day. But bought it for 125, 130-ish, put 82 in. So 125 plus 82,000 is $207,000. And like I showed you, we're paying interest to my lenders of about $17,000. So I'm all into this thing, $224K. So I'm gonna write that down, $224K to my lender. Let me show you a little before and after of this property. Oldest first. Little house, 2-bed, 1-bath, but like I said, this is in Bexley, Ohio, one of the best school districts in Columbus. If you know Columbus, you know. Amazing rental long-term, amazing. 2-car garage. We had to waterproof the basement. We'll show you this. It had termite damage in the walls. We had to rip out the walls. Beautiful hardwood floors. The tenant was crazy. We had to do an eviction. This deal had everything. So we bought it with private money once again. We had to evict the tenant that was in there because she was crazy, didn't want to leave. We then started work. We had to rip out the bathrooms. This is the right side of the house. The exterior wall was completely chewed up by termites, completely destroyed. So we had to rip out the exterior wall on the front side, or the right side and the left side, rebuild it, and then the basement, let's go down here, was completely molded. It had a whole bunch of water issues. You can see all this mold at the top. This house was pretty beat up. So what we had to do is we had to do a French drain in the basement. We had to waterproof the exterior. We had to do the exterior walls rather. We had to do a new furnace, new AC, new electric, new plumbing, and full cosmetic rehab on this thing. So that right there is 82,000 bucks. Let me show you guys what it looks like now. Okay. So we got a nice picture from down low showing the hardwood floors. We got a 2-car garage with new garage doors. We got electric ran out there. We've got our basement with speckles on the floor. We got our walls that are beamed. We got a sump pump in there. Beautiful, functional basement now. So we didn't finish it, but people can use that space. New water heater. My guys take a lot of pictures. Okay. We got bedroom number 1. And if you guys have my material list, which is down at the bottom, you'll see like my light fixtures, my door handles, all that stuff is in my material list. Okay, got our bathroom. These guys were taking punch out pictures and making sure this thing doesn't leak. We got our bathroom. We got our upgraded tile here. So we were doing this one, if we had to flip it, we were doing the upgraded package that we have. Hardwood floors. Let's get to our kitchen here. So we got our kitchen. We opened up a wall leading to the living room. Cute little kitchen, opened up into your living space here. So you guys get the point. Let me show you the front. So this is the back of the house. Put our straw down. See, this is a rental property. This is a nice house. This is the quality I expect, because you get top dollar rents and you also get top value. So back of the house, we put a new roof on this thing as well. Some new windows. Let's see here. New AC. Go to the front. Sorry if you're like, wow, you're going too fast. Okay, so the front of the house looks like this. Cute little house, amazing property. We got this thing rented out for $2,000 a month. So $2,000 a month. This property also appraised for $315,000. So it appraised for $315,000. So let me pull up my calculator here. $315,000 times 0.75. Oops, $315,000 times 0.75 is $236,250. 236K. Let's just do 236K. Now that would be at a 75% cash out. So in that scenario, I could cash out about 10,000 bucks. But remember, I am packaging this in with my other deals. So I can either take that $10,000 and put it in with my other one, or I could bring that mortgage and combine it in a blanket loan, because I'd bring 15 grand to close my other one. That takes away $10,000 from my other. So now I have $5,000 all in on these projects. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Or what I can do is I can lever up to an 80% on this whole thing. So $315,000 times 0.8 would be $252,000. So let's assume I'm doing 75% on this one, which is 236K. So my loan amount is 236K, 236,000, zero down payment because my down payment's baked in, 7.75%. My property taxes are $2,759. I'm dyslexic. That's probably why I couldn't find it. $4,200 or $4,100. Let's see what that is. 4,150 divided by 12. So $350 a month. So I lied. We're actually getting $2,200 a month on rent for this one. So we're getting $2,200 a month in rent, and my payment is going to be right around $2,100, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. Now, is that amazing? No. Once again, I'm just trying to get these things off of debt, having no money in, and then in the future, once again, if this thing drops to a 6%, my payment's $1,800, and I create my cash flow long term. So, $2,200 a month. I now have $0 of my own in that, plus another $10,000 to $15,000, and we'll go and see what the next deal looks like. So my next deal is 1979 Radnor. That's my bottom right property here. We bought this one originally for $150,000. The title company missed a foreclosure, and we had to find the person that actually bought it at the auction, and we had to rebuy it for like $15,000 more. So this one is a little bit convoluted. It's a little bit weird. The house is kind of shitty as far as like the finishes. The lot's really nice, nice garage, but it's a 3-bed, 1-bath. We just rented this thing out for $1,800 a month. So what that looks like is this. So we ended up putting $14,000 into the rehab. This thing was almost done when we bought it. So let me look into, this is gonna be a little confusing. So we ended up buying for $154,000, but we had to repurchase it again. So this may not look proper, but we're all in $155,000 plus $14,000. So we're all in $170,000. Let's just call it $180,000 because we had to rebuy this property again from the auction. It's all in $180,000. This one's a tricky one, but it'll all make sense. So $180,000. I'm not gonna show you the before and after pictures because it doesn't really change all that much. But when we pull my calculator out, this appraised for $210,000. So 30 grand of equity created times 0.75 is 157.5. I owe 180. That would be almost 30 grand of me bringing cash to close on this deal. But remember, if I'm only paying a lender off and I've owned it long enough, I can lever up to a 80% rate and term. So what I can do is 210 times 0.8, which is $168,000. So my loan amount on this is going to be $168K, just because I'm paying my lenders off. I'm not cashing anything into my pocket. $168K is my loan. I owe $180. So I'm going to keep about $15,000 in this deal. But it gets better. So let's play this scenario out real quick. $180,000, $0 as my down payment, 7.75 as my interest rate. Property taxes, $2,700, or let's go 2,800 divided by 12. So my monthly property taxes is let's just call it $250 a month. It's renting for $1,800, and we're getting a $1,600 payment on that. So $1,600 a month payment, and we get $1,800. Cool, but once again, if this thing's dropped to 6, we'll create more cash flow. Okay, so all in all, between those 3 properties right now, so we have $15,000 that we're gonna have to pay to close the deal for the first one. We have $10,000 of extra equity if we go 75% on the other one, or we can lever up to 80 and get a little bit more, and then we got another $15,000. So 30 grand, 30K cash to close right now if we do this deal as is. That's where it gets good. This property right here, 1-bed, 1-bath, we bought it for $50,000. We put, let's see exactly how much we put into this thing. Don't want to lie to you guys. We put $37,000, nearly $38,000 into the rehab. So I'm all in. So I ended up putting $37,000 in. So I'm all in right here. That looks like 53 plus 37. What's that? $90,000 plus another $5,000 of interest. So I'm all in, let's call it 95K. I'm all in 95K. This property is renting for $1,300 a month. So here's what this property looked like before. So we needed a kitchen. This is the bathroom. Bedroom's all upstairs. Pretty beat up. Cosmetic rehab, but beat up. Small house. Exterior's pretty whipped up. I think we put a new roof on this thing when we did because we own the house next door to it. We put a roof on it when we did that. So you saw the before. So here's what it looked like when we listed this property. Exterior is clean. LVP floors. Nice little kitchen. Bathroom is nice. carpet upstairs, LVP upstairs. You got a nice 1-bed, 1-bath house. We rented this out for $1,200 a month. Okay, so this is where it gets good. Remember, I'm at $30,000 cash to close on this entire deal right now at 75%. Actually, we're 80% or more, but I'm not going to convolute things here. This property appraised for $165,000. 20% down, or 75 or 25% down. Actually, let me show it on the calculator first, so it makes it easy. 165,000 is my ARV. This is what it's worth now. Times 0.75, 123,750. That means I'm paying off $95,000 to my lender, so that equals $28,750. So $28,750 that I could cash out on this. So I have extra equity on this, and that is going to bring everything in here. So I owe $30,000 on my other ones, but you can rob and steal equity if you're doing portfolio blanket loans from other properties to bring it all together to bring less cash to close. Or what you could do is you could split them out. So like, let's say Morrow, I do 80% and I bring $15,000 cash to close. But then I have my other one, which is the Columbus Ave, the Bexley nice house that I was talking to you about for $2,200. I could then cash out a little bit on that and use that money for the down payment over here. So it all works symbiotically. But at the end of the day, let's look at a payment on this. So my payment is $966 a month. I'm getting $1,200 of rent. So once again, cash flowing a little bit, nothing out of this world, but I now own all of these properties that we talked about with none of my own cash in there, because I took the 80% on this one. I owe a little bit of money at the top, and then I stole the equity from the other one on a cash out, or I brought them together and just merged them and they share the equity. Or because you could do it either way. If you don't want to do the loans together, a blanket loan is when like all of these loans will be together. So let me do a calculation. This makes me, I'm thinking now. So let's just bring it all together here. $510,000 ARV for the top house, plus $315,000 for the second house, plus $165,000 for the third house, plus we have $210,000 for the last house. So the total ARV or value of these four houses together is $1.2 million. Got it? $1.2 million. Now, I'm going to take that times 0.75. So that's $900,000. This would be my loan amount for this entire project. So the first house, Morrill, I owe, remember, what is it, $415,000 to lenders. Boom. So now we're down to $485,000. Second house, I owe $224,000 minus my third house, $180,000 minus my last house of $95,000. So that would mean in that scenario right there, if I did a 75% clean refinance on all three, I would have $15,000 of my own money in this deal to own $1.2 million worth of assets. So even if I don't toy around with a blanket loan or stretching the LTVs or the equity, so let's say $14,000 divided by $1.2 million. That is a 1.2% down payment. Would you buy as many real estate projects you could for 1.2% down payment? If that's it's a silly question because the answer should always be yes, but that is how powerful finding amazing deals can be, fixing them up, renting them out, and refinancing on the back end can be. My cash flow is not going to be amazing right now, but that's not really what I'm worried about. I make my money on a refinance in the future, and I make my money wholesaling, I make my money flipping. This is to put away, to service debt, and to pay assets down. There's 4 reasons you hold rentals. Number 1 is debt pay down. So the tenants that I put in, these are all nice properties. They're going to pay their rent. I'm going to pay that mortgage down, and then they're going to appreciate in value as time goes on. So hopefully this gave you a good bird's eye view of what it looks like to actually buy properties, and then to kind of bring everything together here. So the way that this works is the bank, let's just say the $900,000, I owe $915,000 to my private money lenders, purchase, rehab, and interest. This bank here on the refinance is going to pay off my private money lenders. So when they're doing the title searches for the houses, they're gonna ask the lenders, what are your payoffs? So the payoffs, those people will get paid. So in a week or two, when I refinance these properties, I'm gonna pay my lenders off $900,000. It's an amazing amount of money. You're recirculating their cash, and then I'm gonna go buy more. So I'm gonna use that money to flip houses. I'm gonna use the money to do the BRRRR method. And lastly, the amount of money I'm gonna get written off for my taxes from this $1.2 million of assets is gonna be really, really high. So if I'm not making much cash flow, I'm gonna make it back by the write-offs that I'm gonna be getting on the properties. Now, you should have cash flow. If you're in your beginning of your phases, you should want to maybe rent these things for a little bit more. But in the point where I'm at in my career, I just want to hold and control those assets. And in the future, I know I'm gonna be able to extract with cash out refinances, or rent's just gonna go up, right? So hopefully you took some notes on this. These are real life scenarios. This is the real side of real estate. Drop a comment, shoot me some likes, subscribe to my channel. And until next time, we'll see you on the next one.